Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Thompson here. I get to read for you today Dr. Seuss's Sleep Book. The news just came in from the county of Keck that a very small bug by the name of Van Vleck. It's yawning so wide you can look down his neck. This may not seem very important, I know, but it is. I'm bothering to tell you so. A yawn is quite catching, you see, like a cough. It just takes one yawn and to start others yawns off. Now the news has come in that some friends of Van Vleck's are yawning so wide you could look down their necks. At this moment right now, under 7 more noses, great yawns are in blossoms. They're blooming like roses. The yawn of that one little bug is still spreading. According to the latest reports, it is heading across the white fields through the sleepy night air, across the whole country toward every whichwhere. And actually, people are gradually starting to say, I feel kind of drowsy. I've had quite a day. Creatures are starting to think about the rest. 2 biffer-bomb birds are now building their nest. They do it each night, and quite often I wonder, how do they do this big job without making a blunder? But that is their problem, not yours and not mine. The point is they're going to bed, and that's fine. Sleep thoughts are spreading throughout the whole land. The night-for-night brushing of teeth is at hand. Up at Herkheimer Falls, where the great river rushes and crashes down crags in great gargling gushes, the Herkheimer sisters are using their brushes. Those falls are just grand for toothbrushing beneath, if you happen to be up that way on your teeth. The news just came in from the castle of Krupp that the lights are all out and the drawbridge is up. And the old drawbridge drawer just said with a yawn, my drawbridge is drawn, and it's going to stay drawn till the milkman delivers the milk about dawn. I'm going to bed now, so nobody better come round with a very special delivery letter. The number of sleepers is steadily growing. Bed is where more and more people are going. In Culpeper Springs, in the Stilt Walkers Hall, the Stilt Walker stilts are still stacked on the wall. The Stilt Walker walkers have called it a day. They're all tuckered out and they're snoozing away. This is very big news. It's important to know, and that's why I'm bothering to tell you so. Way out in the west in the town of Merced, the Hinklehorn Hunking Club just went to bed. Every horn has been quietly hung on a hook for the night in its own private Hinklehorn nook. All this long, happy day they've been honking about, and the Hinklehorn hunkers have honked themselves out. But they'll wake up quite fresh in the morning, and then they'll start right in Hinklehorn honking again. Everywhere creatures are falling asleep. The collapsible freak just collapsed in a heap. And by adding the frink to the others before, I'm able to give you the who's asleep score. Right now, 40,404. Creatures are happily, deeply in slumber. I think you'll agree that's a fine, whooping fine number. Counting up sleepers, Just how do we do it? Really quite simple. There's nothing much to it. We found out how many. We learned the amount by the audio teleo count. On a mountain halfway between Reno and Rome, we have a machine in a plexiglass dome which listens and looks into everyone's home. And whenever it sees a new sleeper go flop, it jiggles and lets out a big ol' ball drop. Our chap counts these balls and they plop in a cup. And that's how we know who's down and who is up. Do you walk in your sleep? It's a wonderful sport. And I have some news of this sport to report. The world champion sleep talkers, Joe and Mo Red Zoff, have gone to sleep and they're talking their heads off. For 55 years now, each chattering brother has babbled and gabbled all night to the other. They've talked about laws, they've talked about gauze, they've talked about paws, and they've talked about flaws. They've talked quite a bit about old Santa Claus. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you should take up the sport. It's just fine for the jaws. Do you walk in your sleep? I just had a report of some interesting news of this popular sport. Near Finnegan Fen, there's a sleepwalking group which not only walks, but it walks a la hoop. Every night they go miles, while they walk much to length. They have to keep eating to keep up their strength. So every so often one puts down his hoop, stops hooping and does some quick snooping for soup. And that's why they're known as the Hoop Soup Snoop Group. Sleepwalking too are the curious Crandalls, who sleepwalk on heels with assorted size candles. The Crandalls walk nightly in a slumbering peace, in spite of slight burns from the hot, dripping grease. The Crandalls wear candles because they walk far, and if they wake up, they want to see where they are. Now the news has arrived from the Valley of Vale, from a Chippendale mup that has just bitten his tail, which he does every night before shutting his eyes. Such nipping sounds silly, but really, it's wise. He has no alarm clock, so this is the way. He makes sure that he'll wake up at the right time of day. His tail is so long he won't feel any pain till the nip makes the trip and gets up to his brain. In exactly 8 hours, the Chippendale mup will at last feel the bite and yell, "Ouch!" and wake up. A Mr. and Mrs. J. Carmichael Crocs have just gone to bed near the town of Fort Knox. And they, by the way, have the finest of clocks. I'm not at all sure that I quite understand just how this thing works with that one extra hand. But I do know this clock does one very slick trick. It doesn't tick-tock. How it goes is talk-tick. So with ticks in its talker and talks in its ticker, it saves a lot of time, and the sleepers sleep quicker. Here's the clock. What a fine night for sleeping, from all that I hear. It's the best night for sleeping in many a year. They're even asleep in the Zyback Hotel, and people don't usually sleep there too well. The beds are like rocks, and everyone knows the sheets are too short. They won't cover your toes. So if people are actually sleeping in there, it's a great night for sleeping. It must be the air. It's a great night for snores. I just had a report of some boys who are tops in this musical sport, the snortiest snorers in all the fair land. Our Snorter McPhail and his Snore a Snort band. This band could snore Dixie in Old Swanee River, so loud it could make 40 elephants shiver. The loudest of all the boys is McPhail. He snores with his head in a 3-gallon pail. So they snore in a cave 20 miles out of town. If they snored closer, that would snore the town down. Do you know who's asleep out in Funa Laguna? Two very nice Funa Laguna baboona. We've added them into our Who's Asleep count, which has grown to a really amazing amount. Exactly 8,808,008 creatures are sleeping now. Isn't that great? A Jed is in bed, and the bed of a Jed is the softest bed in the world. It is said he makes it from pom-poms he grows on his head. And he's sleeping right now on the softest of fluff, completely exhausted from growing the stuff. The news has come in from the district of Doft. The two oft are asleep, and they're sleeping aloft. And how are they able to sleep off the ground? I'll tell you. I weighed one last week, and I found that an oft is so light he weighs minus 1 pound. A moose is asleep. He's dreaming of moose drinks. A goose is asleep and he's dreaming of goose drinks. That's well and good when a moose dreams of moose juice, and nothing goes wrong when a goose dreams of goose juice. But it isn't too good when a moose and a goose start dreaming they're drinking the other one's juice. Moose goose, not juice goose, is juice for a moose, and goose juice, not moose juice, is juice for a goose. So when goose gets a mouthful of juices of mooses, and moose gets a mouthful of juices of gooses, they always fall out of their beds screaming screams. So I'm warning you now, never drink in your dreams. Speaking of dreaming, I think you should note that the Bubble Tub Club is now dreaming afloat. Every night they go dreaming down Bubble Tub Creek, except for one night every third or fourth week when they stop for repairs because their bubble tubs leak. But tonight they're afloat, full of dreams, full of bliss. And that's why I'm bothering to tell you this. And a fork of the road in the Vale of Vavode, 5-foot weary salesmen have laid down their load. All day they've raced around in the heat at top speeds, unsuccessfully trying to sell scissors of seeds, which nobody wants because nobody needs. But tomorrow will come. They'll go back to their chore. They'll start on the road, zisser-zoffing once more. But tonight, they've forgotten. Their feet are so sore. And that's what's wonderful. Nighttime is for. Everywhere creatures have shut off their voices. They've gone to bed in their bed of their choices. They're sleeping in bushes, they're sleeping in crannies, some on their stomachs and some on their fannies. They're sleeping peaceably in comfortable holes, some even on soft, tough barber shop poles. The number of sleepers is now past the millions. The number of sleepers is now in the billions. They're sleeping on steps and on strings and on floors, in mailboxes, ships, and keyholes of doors. Every worm on a fishhook is safe for the night. Every fish in the sea is too sleepy to bite. Every whale in the ocean has turned off his spout. Every light between here and Farfoodle is out. And now, adding things up, we are way beyond billions. Our Who's Asleep score is now up in the zillions. $99 zillion, 9 trillion and 2 creatures are sleeping. So how about you? When you put out your light, then the number will be 99 zillion, 9 trillion, and 3. Good night. Good night.